believe. That's the title of it. I'll read a bit of it. Regardless of whether the Coast Guard officer took inspiration from Trump, he believed in malicious fictions similar to our president's spreads and saw those fictions as rationalizations for violence. I want to quickly play a version of that. Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump back in December of 2015 talking about the media, who he used as a constant attack point and still does.
By the way, I hate some of these people, but I'd never kill them. I hate them. No, these people, honestly, I'll be honest. I would never kill them. I would never do that. Let's see. No, I wouldn't. I would never kill them. But I do hate them, and some of them are such lying, disgusting people.
Daryl Von Jenkins, when people in hate groups hear that kind of rhetoric, do they take it literally? Do they take inspiration from it? What kind of rhetoric when a rhetoric from a president of the United States sounds like that, or at that point a presidential candidate, what does that do inside these movements?
Well, the fact that they are parroting what he says speaks to exactly what they do and who they are. I mean, when you see in this gentleman Hassan's writings that he is using the language that Trump is engaging in, then you know that we have an issue. But it's also not just the rhetoric. It's also not just the language. It's also the people that surrounds Donald Trump, that Donald Trump has surrounded himself with. You spoke of the person that Mr. Hassan was writing to, the white supremacist that wasn't named. So the Poverty Law Center did, in fact, confirm that it was a gentleman named Harold Covington. And Harold Covington, who passed away last summer, was a notorious white nationalist, white supremacist, who wanted to create a white ethno-state in the Pacific Northwest. Now, the reason why I bring him up is because there are gentlemen that are involved, that are supporters of Donald Trump that we see in D.C. all the time, that's connected to folks like Roger Stone. And when you start talking about getting that close with this kind of rhetoric and this kind of hate mongering, we have ourselves a problem that we definitely need to address.
Right. And I mean, you had Steve Bannon hired by Donald Trump both to run his campaign and then brought into the White House, who said he was making Breitbart the home of the alt-right.
Exactly.
Alt-right is a term Richard Spencer, big fan of Trump, invented because it means white nationalism. So you have these kind of, the sense of access. Go ahead.
And Richard Spencer had a friend when he was at Duke University as a grad student. His name, Stephen Miller. And we see where that comes out of. See what we get out of that, I should say.
And so go ahead, Malcolm, because the question then is that Donald Trump constantly kind of attacks federal law enforcement anyway, so they're not exactly getting support from the top. And now you have this sense that these people, even if Donald Trump doesn't mean it to sound that way, they feel they have access. They feel they are now insiders. What on earth is law enforcement to do?
Well, you know, that's a very, very good point. And that's what I wanted to talk about with regards to Donald Trump's tape. You know, when he made those remarks, that's not dog whistle, okay? That is a siren to these people. And what he says is, I wouldn't kill the media, ... And he's leaving it up to you, the foot soldier, to go out and act as an independent actor and carry out his fantasy that's going on in his head. You know, a while back when I was in the military, I went to Oklahoma City and I met the state trooper that was the one who pulled over Timothy McVeigh and took him into custody. And he gave us a little anecdote that was quite fascinating. He said, when I pulled him over and I asked him, son, do you have a weapon? McVeigh beamed at him as if, I'm with you. I'm one of your guys. And he said, yes, sir, I do. Like he was in on the plot because he was a policeman. The policeman, of course, is not in on the plot, took him into custody. These guys feel the foot soldiers of the military, the FBI, and the White House support them. And that's when that can turn into violent, murderous action. And the president really needs to stop this, or it will manifest itself in a murder.